Calm down, Chad.
Arma Reforger is a game that I'll be playing a fair bit of, but at 40 Australian dollars, what are we getting and is it worth it? But I mean, you'll have people that'll either say that being in I can't believe this, a literal war zone is better than playing this game, but you also have people that will vehemently defend this game till the end of the world. And I'm gonna come out and say I wouldn't pay more than $25 for this, especially considering the lack of content and other issues that are in it, but don't take this as me bashing the game. I am having quite a bit of fun playing it. Oi, don't shoot. And I know people are going to say, oh, but it's early access and that's the price you have to pay for admission, and it will help ensure that Arma 4 will be as good as it can get. And I don't have an issue with throwing money at a game, but to people where every dollar counts, I want to be as clear as possible as to what you're getting. Because come on, let's be honest, $40 to some people is a lot of money, but the short and to the point answer is, if you love Arma and are the kind of person who wants to try the latest thing and you have $40 to spend, then I recommend that you get this. But if you're expecting a proper issue-free experience and aren't the kind to drop money recklessly, then I'd steer clear for the time being and wait a couple of months so these issues are sorted out and maybe more content will be added. But what is Arma Reforger? And if you're familiar with the Arma series for a while, you return to the island of Everon, I'm sorry if I butchered that, which is the same place as Arma Cold War Assault takes place in. But in this game you have to fight over control points in a 51km squared area, and I'm gonna be honest, the island does look beautiful. You just have those moments when you're cruising along and you forget that you're at war and you just take in the scenery. It does look beautiful in my opinion, and then you get ambushed and killed.
I'm flanking.
But all this is because of the whole reason this game exists, and that is to show off the new Infusion game engine, which has good and bad things about it. But I'll start off on a good note, and the armor jank is significantly less. If you played Arma 3, you know what armor jank is, but the whole experience in terms of movement feels pretty smooth. It isn't perfect, but it's a major improvement in my opinion, especially since you can now climb over things. There is no menu you need to scroll through in the top left as well to get in and out of vehicles or do other things, because honestly that's one thing I found kind of frustrating about Arma 3, and thankfully this is no more. But speaking of vehicles, you can now interact with the dials and knobs to turn the engine on and off, as well as turn lights on and off. It makes it feel more realistic. I just wish there were proper animations for them, but you have a couple of Jeeps, a couple of UAZs and an APC. I like the way that they handle turn too fast around a corner and you'll end up flipping them. The bots can't use vehicles. Now, some people might say this is a good thing, some people might say this is a bad thing. I personally believe that this is a bad thing because I genuinely believe that bots would do a better job than actual humans when using some of the vehicles in this game, considering that me and a fair bit of other people treat them like Formula 1 cars.
Fuck, look at Hamster, bro. Fuck me, dude. Hamster's in a fucking Formula 1 car, mate. Look at him.
Stealth car.
Oh!
Because the thing is, I was literally in a car and I straight up bullied an armored personnel carrier by ramming into it and brake checking it, and they just gave up and got out and tried to shoot me.
How the hell would we be run off?
But the game as a whole is much more dumbed down, and some people have said that this is to cater for console users. The complex stance mechanics aren't there, which is a shame because you can't rub your ass on the floor anymore, but hey, at least you can flush toilets. The movement as a whole, some people say it feels more arcade-like, especially considering there is infinite sprint, but you can control the rate at which you walk by using the scroll wheel. I personally prefer the direction that the movement's going in, but your main purpose in this game is to capture these radio stations, and I'd say it's pretty similar to a Gamer Squad. It's not very similar, but there's some resemblance because you have logistical trucks that can bring supplies to these points so you can build machine gun forts as well as other things to help you defend them. You are very reliant reliant on your teammates to actually coordinate a plan of attack, and there are also additional objectives that you can complete, such as resupplying certain points. But look, I'm gonna be brutally honest, I had more fun not taking this game seriously, and I know, it's Arma. People don't like the fact that it's a lot more dumbed down to cater towards more casual players, because quite frankly, not everyone wants to muck around. They want to take things seriously, and when you have motherfuckers such as myself who treat this game as a roleplay server, especially when there's the fact that you can talk to enemies over voice chat, which has just led to some of the funniest moments I've had in gaming, because I got a little bit bored and I kind of pretended to be the highway patrol of Everon, and I'm just pulling people over.
How can I help you?
Would you happen to have any license or registration on you? But okay, let's be serious. What weapons do you get to play with? And there isn't that much at the moment, but thanks to modders, we are seeing the workshop grow every day with the addition of new guns, vehicles, and overall gameplay changes. But let's be honest here, mods carry Arma. No one plays it for the story or vanilla experience. Some might, but I sure as hell don't. But by default in Arma Reforger, we have the AK-74, M16A2, SVD, RPK-74, and M60, as well as other various weapons, but we do have a selection of mods. The overall feeling when firing these weapons is better than Arma 3 in my opinion. You don't run for 10 meters and then you're swaying and aiming everywhere, and I know some people might say, oh, but that's what it's like in real life. Well, bro, yeah, I mean, sure, if I were to run 10 meters and try to aim and hit something at a distance, yeah, because I'm fucking unfit, but that isn't a thing in this game. But the guns aren't laser beams and neither are the bots, thankfully. You do have to compensate for kick. There is also bullet ricochets. Some of the weapon models do look pretty good, but some of them could use some work done to them. Now, me personally, someone who isn't that educated on firearms, these aren't that big of a deal, but to some of you, and I know that some of you watching this will literally pick out every discrepancy in the accuracy of a firearm, and let's have a look at some. So the first thing is that it's an M16A2, but it has the incorrect butt pad. In one of the patch notes, they did say that they fixed up the fire selector issues, but that's not the case, because if you look at the SVD, the fire selector is actually in reverse. And another thing about the SVD is that the zeroing isn't actually correct and it doesn't actually line up properly. Now, another thing, and this is so goddamn specific, is that if you look at the grenade, it has a thing called the jungle clip still on it when you throw it, so technically it's not supposed to explode. Speaking of which, when he throws the grenade, he fucking Tom Brady's it. Also, another thing has to do with the explosive weapon balancing. So the Soviets are the only ones that actually get an armored vehicle. Yet again, the Americans, they only get one M72 law to counter that. Yet again, the Soviets get an RPG that can fire 3 rockets. So I feel like the balancing isn't really fair, especially when you throw in the fact that the rockets, while they can do some devastating things in real life, in this game you throw it at a lightly armored vehicle with virtually no armor, you're going to have a pretty bad time. Now, another issue with the firearm models, now if you've been following the development of 83, this one might be a familiar one for you, not me. I wouldn't have been able to pick this up in a million years, but there's a ring at the end where the cleaning rod for the AK is. Now, in real life, that isn't there, and apparently this is because the people that were modeling this were looking at a source on Wikipedia, and the weapon was most likely a display model, hence the ring. But there are some things that frustrate me a little bit, and for starters, I don't think I've been blueballed harder than any other video game, but there is a couple of problems, and for starters, at the moment of recording this, there is a pretty major disconnection issue, and you could be having a great time and then boom, you just get disconnected, and it did happen to me personally at the most inconvenient moments.
If you want to execute me, I understand.
And then I'd lose my spot in the server, and then I need to wait to get back in. Another thing, I don't know if you could do this in Arma 3, because quite frankly, I'd never really played with friends, only in the map editor, but the enemy can dress up as friendlies. And yes, I know that this is a thing in real war, and the only thing that can prevent this is Geneva, but we know how effective that can be. But it did lead to a fair amount of team killing, and in some servers, an accidental team kill or two will boot you from the server.
You
Why are you shooting us, you dumb cunt?
And obviously it happened to me, and I'm not going to go around gunning down friendlies. I'm hearing over voice comms enemies dressing up as friendlies. I see someone running towards our main base. I gun them down. It was a friendly, I get booted. But I'm also not gonna sit here and say I didn't do just that. I stole a Soviet car, pretended to be Russian, and I tried to sneak in their base. But obviously I wasn't gonna shoot anyone. But from what I had gathered, the people that play these games are the kind of people to shoot first, ask questions later, because I said I'd surrender, completely ignored, just got gunned down, straight up executed. But yeah, there are plenty amount of bugs and glitches, and some of them have even carried on over from DayZ standalone. But hopefully all these issues are going to get fixed eventually. But yes, I know that this is an early access game and you can just not buy it if you don't like it. But when you start seeing issues that could have easily been resolved, especially over the course of a couple of years from DayZ, it's a little bit questionable when they charge that much for this kind of product. I want it to get to a state where I can say to my friends, hey, get this game for $40, we're gonna have a good time in it. Because at the moment, I cannot recommend this to my friends, and obviously I'm not going to recommend it to you, the viewer, if you're thinking about buying this game. Anyways, I'm going to end today's video there. I hope you guys did enjoy, because if you did, please do consider leaving a like, subscribing, and sharing the video with your friends. Anyways, my name is Tan2, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.